Welcome to the Weekly Dose by Augusta Global Insights.
What we do here is give you a quick summary of one of our written reports where we really dig into the most important developments in business, markets, and the global economy. If you want to read the full in-depth analysis, the link is right down there in the description for you.
So, let me ask you a question. What on earth could your groceries possibly have in common with Game of Thrones? Yeah, I know, it sounds totally random, but the answer really pulls back the curtain on the incredible strategies of two corporate giants that made some massive moves this week.
First up, let's talk about our invisible giant, Amazon. We're going to dive into how they're quietly building this unbelievable delivery empire, how they're just completely dominating the cloud, and a surprise move they just made into AI hardware.
Okay, so you hear about Amazon aiming for ultra-fast delivery, right? But how are they actually doing it? It's way more than just hiring a bunch of drivers. The real secret here is what we call vertical integration. And all that really means is they own every single piece of the puzzle, from the click you make online all the way to the package landing on your doorstep.
And it's this brilliant three-part strategy. First, they have their own custom fleet of electric vans from Rivian. Second, they're using all those Whole Foods stores you see as local mini distribution hubs. And third, their own Amazon logistics network ties it all together. It's a perfect, closed loop built for one thing: insane speed and total control.
And speaking of those hubs, they didn't just pop up out of nowhere. You have to go back to 2017, when Amazon dropped a staggering $13.7 billion in all cash to buy Whole Foods. Now, this wasn't just about selling more avocados. It instantly gave them a massive physical footprint across the country and a super important cold storage supply chain.
And the delivery vans, well, in 2019, Amazon pumped $1.3 billion into the EV maker Rivian and placed an order for 100,000 custom vans. And get this isn't some far-off future plan. Over 20,000 of those vans are already out on our streets right now delivering packages. That's how fast this thing is moving.
But as huge as that physical network is, it's really only half the story. Because their digital empire, Amazon Web Services, you know it as AWS, is arguably even more powerful and way, way more profitable.
Make no mistake, AWS is the absolute crown jewel of their entire operation. It's the digital backbone for a huge chunk of the internet we use every day, and it controls a commanding 29% of the entire global cloud market. There's a line in our report that just nails it perfectly. When AWS sneezes, the internet catches a cold. And we just saw exactly what that means in the real world.
So on October 25th, AWS had a major outage. And what happened? An estimated 30% of the entire internet just went dark. Over 3,500 companies were hit, generating more than 17 million user reports. I'm talking about huge apps you use all the time: Snapchat, Coinbase, even Netflix, just completely offline. That's the power of AWS.
And just when you think you have Amazon's game plan all figured out, they throw a curveball. The company just announced its own AI chip, going head-to-head with giants like NVIDIA and Google, claiming they can do it cheaper and more efficiently. It's just another reminder that this empire is always expanding.
All right, let's shift gears from the titan of logistics and data to a brand new titan of Hollywood. Because this week, Netflix made a move that is going to fundamentally change the entire entertainment world as we know it.
Brace yourself for this number because it is absolutely breathtaking. Netflix just announced a deal to buy Warner Bros. Discovery's studio and streaming assets for an enterprise value of $82.7 billion.
And this wasn't some easy, friendly deal. Oh no, Netflix had to fight for this thing. It was a weeks-long bidding war where they just barely edged out a rival offer from Paramount Skydance to claim the ultimate prize.
So, what does that kind of money get you? Well, basically a treasure chest of the most iconic content on the planet. We are talking about the entire Harry Potter universe, the whole DC universe with Batman and Superman, and every legendary HBO show, including, yes, Game of Thrones. Netflix didn't just buy a studio, they bought a cultural kingdom.
Okay, so while these giants are making these mind-boggling billion-dollar chess moves, what's actually going on for everybody else? Let's take a quick look at this week's market pulse for a snapshot of the wider economy.
First up, those buy now, pay later services you see everywhere, they absolutely surged after Black Friday. But the real story isn't just that they grew, it's who is using them. For younger millennials, usage just skyrocketed by an incredible 87% compared to last year.
And remember that question I asked about groceries? Well, here's the answer. A full 25%, a quarter, of all buy now, pay later payments are now being used for everyday essentials, like food. That's a huge flashing sign of the financial pressure people are under.
And now for a little bit of irony. The company's strategy, you might remember them as MicroStrategy, the one that went all in on Bitcoin, just announced it's creating a $1.44 billion reserve in US dollars to, and I quote, navigate market volatility.
And to round out the economic picture, we're seeing a couple of other pretty concerning signals. U.S. foreclosures jumped by 20% as more people are struggling to make payments. And the job market showed some surprising weakness too, actually shrinking a little instead of growing. It definitely seems like the economy is cooling off.
Okay, so that was a lot to take in. We've got Amazon building this invisible empire, Netflix making a massive power play, and then these signs of real stress in the regular economy. So let's boil it all down to the 3 key things you really need to remember.
So here's the bottom line. First takeaway, vertical integration is the ultimate power move right now. Amazon's total control from the cloud all the way to delivery van gives it an almost unbeatable edge. Second, content is still king now more than ever. Netflix didn't just buy another show. It basically bought the Iron Throne itself, creating a library that no one can compete with. And finally, and this is the big one, the consumer is feeling the strain. The fact that people are using payment plans for groceries, all while these multi-billion-dollar deals are happening, it shows a huge disconnect. And that's our summary. Remember, this was just a quick look at a written report from Augusta Global Insights. If you want to dive deeper into the complete analysis, the link to the full article is waiting for you in the description below. Thanks so much for watching The Weekly Dose. We'll have a new report for you every week.